Hey everyone, I'm Grant and welcome back to the channel. In my last video I got my BEW TDI started and running, and now I need to start focusing on getting the other components installed. We will be installing the radiator I had installed when I had a Kubota in the engine bay. So with that said, I'm going to just jump right into it. I have I think it's called the AC condenser on, and I need to figure out the bottom mount for that. And the trick with that is, it's actually in there, it's supposed to be like this. I need to rotate it forward a little bit so it clears my intercooler, but I'm running into the same problem with the radiator. The top bolts are fantastic. I do need to figure out how I'm going to mount the radiator and the AC condenser. So right now I think I'm going to take the radiator back off. I need to find a way, like I said at the beginning, to go ahead and mount the AC condenser so it's off slightly so it's not hitting my intercooler. But even with all of that, I think this is going to work. We're making really good progress. I got the AC condenser installed, I got the radiator installed, all my clearances look really good. Nothing is touching my boost piping, though I still need to install the clamps. And I'm really excited to see the amount of room I have between my TDI engine and my electric fan. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is, before I start working on this, I'm going to run out to a couple of parts stores and see if I can't buy some hoses and whatnot so I can hook up my BEW TDI engine to my factory radiator. Alright everyone, I have actually scrapped all the footage that I've been doing for the last about 4 hours because I've been trying to figure out the best way to hook up the cooling system on my TJ Wrangler with the BEW TDI. And here's what I've come up with that I think is going to work. Now I've had to run to multiple parts stores, but these two hoses are actually exactly the same. They're made by two different companies. One is by Dayco, the other one is by Continental, but they're the same part number. It's a 72135, and they both kind of do exactly what I want. The other hose I have is this, which is a Continental 71591. All this hose does is connect my lower radiator outlet to the thermostat housing for one of these two hoses, and I'll get back to that. The final hose I have is this one, and I bought this hose for this piece here because I could not find this piece by itself in the sizes that I needed. So I paid 40 bucks for this hose for that one piece. But I think I'm going to end up using sections of this hose as well, and this is a 72496. But here's my current thought process. This hose I don't need to modify. It just goes onto the lower radiator outlet. It goes there. But the trick is, do I use this end of this long hose and hook it like that? Or I could almost use the other end of it and go this way, and it's a wee bit tighter, and I could do that as well. So I don't know which side I'm going to go with until I cut this hose in half. I'm just going to turn on time lapse and start trying to figure this out, because right now I have no idea what I'm doing. Alright everyone, here's kind of the update on everything, because I haven't actually touched this in about a day now. I know how the lower radiator hose is going to go on. I kind of have an idea on the upper radiator hose, but I'm not going to do that until I figure out what I call all the secondary cooling, which is two pipes that feed the oil cooler / oil filter, and I'm also going to run this to my heater core. And I'm going ahead and doing that because I currently don't have the dashboard in my Wrangler. So if I have a leak in my heater core, it's going to be really easy to fix right now. So with that said, I'm going to move the camera and start figuring out how to get all of this hooked up. I think I have the cooling system figured out, so I'm going to try to explain everything that's going on. This is the top of my heater core that returns to the water neck on this side. And I went with this hosing because it's actually designed for a heater core, but it's very flexible. And since I'm going from a heater core on my firewall to the engine, I want this to be able to move around a bit. Now, I am going to find a way to secure it over here somehow, just to kind of keep it in one place, but I want this to have movement as the engine moves. So that one's pretty straightforward. The next piece is this hose right here. Now this is going to go to my upper radiator inlet, and what I've done is it comes off the water neck, and it was a part of that hose where I bought that one plastic piece, but I've also connected a hose right here, and I don't know how well you can see that, but I have a small reducer that goes to the back of the head. This is where air can bleed out of the system and it gets pushed in, and the flow of the water is going to go this way into the top of my radiator. So that's all good. Now, all the water system around here, I have this pipe here which goes to the top port of the oil cooler that's being cooled with the engine coolant. And then the bottom one comes up into this Y piece. I'm taking this outlet for engine coolant and using a Y piece. And again, I'm using another one of these flexi hoses because I want this to be able to vibrate and shake. And I was worried if I used a firmer hose like this was going to tear up my heater core. This will allow the hose to flex and move, and I don't have to worry about it as much. Turning our attention to the lower radiator hose, this was actually a pretty easy setup. I had one hose that I'm not even going to cut. I had one hose that was the same hose as this one here, and I've ended up using two of these hoses and cutting parts off of both. But what's holding me up down here, other than not having the joiner, is my oil pressure sending unit. So what I actually have coming is a 90-degree adapter. So I can move the switch so it's coming up here. So instead of the wire going in like this, it's going to go in like that. And I'm not going to have any interference to this hose. So that's all I can do for this video, because at this point I'm waiting for parts so I can couple all the hoses together that are going to arrive later this week. But other than the parts that I don't have, we have the cooling system figured out. I know how the upper radiator hose is going to go. I know how the lower radiator hose is going to go, and I've figured out how all the secondary systems work, meaning the coolant that goes to the oil filter / cooler and my heater core. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.